The Chicago Bears have addressed a lot of positions in NFL free agency, but one of those positions that they have not addressed that could come back to bite them is running back. What is going on, y'all? FaizSportsTalk back at it with another video talking, of course, some NFL here to talk about the Bears. So if you're a Bears fan, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, folks. Helps me out a lot when you support the channel. So please go ahead and do so and turn on your post notifications so you are notified every time I drop a new video. Go ahead and click that bell icon down below and follow me, guys, on my social media links down below in the description. With that being said, here to talk about the Bears and why they need to add a running back. Let's get into it. So I made a video about 2 months ago talking about, should the Bears address the running back position by adding somebody in NFL free agency, and got kind of mixed reviews. You guys talked about that it's not really a big position that we need. We've got David Montgomery, we've got Tariq Cohen, and there's a bunch of other holes, and I totally agree with you guys. We had a bunch of holes. We had cornerback, safety, offensive line help. Technically, we didn't address that really well, and we'll see what happens there. But quarterback, so a lot of positions were of need. And the Bears, for the most part, have now addressed a majority of them. Okay, as I mentioned, they drafted a cornerback, they signed cornerbacks, they've drafted, they signed safeties, they signed a quarterback, offensive line help. They did draft and sign offensive line help as well, though I'm still not totally satisfied at all with how they address the offensive line, and it could still need improvement. But the other position that they really didn't address at all, was running back. And here's the thing with running back. Yes, the NFL is a passing league now, and the running back position is not as valuable as it once was. But the Chicago Bears right now have David Montgomery and Tariq Cohen as their 1-2 punch at the running back spot. And then behind them, it's going to be kind of a race, really, between Ryan Nall and an undrafted free agent that we signed in Artavis Pierce. So both of these guys will compete for that third running back spot. I believe it'll be Pierce. I think he's just more talented than Ryan Nall. But regardless, if David Montgomery, who I totally believe, I'm sold on David Montgomery, by the way. It's not that I don't believe in him. I'm just talking about adding a running back for depth purposes. Because if David Montgomery, our RB1, our workhorse, goes down, then what happens? We've got Tariq Cohen and what? Undrafted free agent, Ryan Nall. That's not enough, folks. Look, I like Tariq Cohen. Tariq Cohen's a nice player, but he's a space back. There's no way he can be your starting running back if you can feed him the ball 20 times a game. You just can't do that. He's not cut out for that beating with his size, and you can't rely on Tariq Cohen being your main guy. He's a guy who's a complimentary pass-catching running back. So at that point, if David Montgomery gets hurt, which I certainly hope it doesn't happen, but you have to prepare for the worst, right? If David Montgomery gets worse, who do you have left? You've got Tariq Cohen, who I've already mentioned is not an adequate replacement as a bell cow running back, and you've got Ryan Nall and Artavis Pierce. So it would be literally a committee. I get that, but neither of those three guys really wow you. Now, I do have, some potential I see in Artavis Pierce, and he could be good, but he's still a fairly small back as well. So there's a couple of guys on the waiver wire. I'm in fantasy football mode. There's a couple of guys on the free agency wire that the Bears could look to bring in. And those are the following: Carlos Hyde, Lamar Miller, Devontae Freeman. Those are three guys out there. I'll throw a couple more names at you. We got Jonathan Williams, who was on the Colts last year. He showed some flashes there. And CJ Prosise, who was on the Seattle Seahawks. So I'll start with Carlos Hyde. Carlos Hyde, now I've heard rumors that the Eagles are interested in him, so maybe he'll sign with them. But the free agent market is drying up fairly quickly, by the way. Even Frank Gore got a deal. I mean, my God, how old is Frank Gore at this point? And he's still getting deals. It's 2020, and he's still getting deals. Point is, I digress. Carlos Hyde, last year, did you know, in a full 16 games with the Texans, he had 1,000 rushing yards. Yes, exactly 1,070. Did only average about 4.4 yards per carry, but still 6 touchdowns. Nothing to sneeze at. And the thing with Carlos Hyde is he's absolutely the type of guy that you can, feed the ball to, and he will grind out other teams. He's a grinder. He doesn't catch the ball at all. He's not a pass catching back. He's a between the tackles running back. And a perfect guy to plug in if Montgomery gets hurt. Okay? Lamar Miller, the guy who Carlos Hyde was brought in for because Lamar Miller got hurt, missed all of last season, but the previous year in 2018, when he did play in 14 games, had almost 1,000 yards, 4.6 yards a carry, 5 touchdowns, and unlike Carlos Hyde, he can catch the ball and he can run between the tackles. Lamar Miller is actually one of the most talented running backs. Now, certainly he's past his prime for sure, but in his prime, he was one of the most talented running backs. And so, depending on how his injury is, obviously if he's fully recovered, it makes sense to bring in Lamar Miller too. Again, all of these guys would be at a very minuscule salary cap contract. I'm assuming, because again, the Bears don't have a lot of salary cap space, about $9 million left, and we could potentially address it by signing offensive line as well. So we don't know how much of it's going to be left, but for the most part, we do know they're not going to commit a lot of money to any of these running backs. It'll be a very, very minuscule deal. But Lamar Miller's an option, and then Devontae Freeman. Devontae Freeman got cut from the Falcons last year, 14 games, 656 yards. So not that great, but, we know that Devontae Freeman's put up numbers before. He's had 1,000-yard seasons with the Falcons before. And so with Devontae Freeman, it's the same thing. None of these guys are coming in and being your main RB1. That is David Montgomery. But these guys give you some quality depth to where if David Montgomery's out a few games, you are not looking for scraps out of the heap at that point because teams took up these guys. So to me, I do think it's wise for the Bears to pounce on one of these guys sooner rather than later. If it were up to me and how I would rank them, I would probably go Devontae Freeman, then Carlos Hyde, then Lamar Miller, just based off Miller's injury. If his injury is not an issue anymore and he's fully healthy, I'd actually put him up to number 2 and then Carlos Hyde number 3. But again, I'm fine with either of these 3 guys. I do think the Bears should absolutely look to address the running back position because, like I said, David Montgomery goes down, you're kind of screwed, and I really, really want the Bears to run the ball this year, and they can't do that with the other 3 running backs on the roster, or so be it. So let's see what happens. Yeah, I do think the Bears should look to add a running back. Do you guys agree with me? Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below if you agree. Should the Bears add a running back? And do you have another running back in mind? Again, we've got Jonathan Williams, who's nice, but he was with the Colts last year. CJ Prosise is more of a space back, again, pass catching back. Do you have any other running backs that you guys have that the Bears should potentially look at? Leave a comment down below with that running back, and if you guys feel like the Bears should add a running back. So if you do like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Please make sure to subscribe as always. Thanks for watching.